After 15 years of paying off my house, my sister walked in and started picking rooms for her kids, like it already belonged to her. And I just smiled and said, "Sure." My name is Lily Anderson. I'm 35 years old, and that house? It wasn't just a place to live. It was the result of 15 years of discipline, sacrifice, and doing everything on my own. No shortcuts, no help, no safety net, just me. While everyone else was going out, upgrading, living freely, I was budgeting, planning, working overtime, because I had one goal: ownership. Not just of a house, but of my life. And finally, after 15 long years, I achieved it. The final payment cleared. No more mortgage. No more debt. Just peace. A clean, quiet, fully paid home. Mine. And for a while, it stayed that way. Until my family started showing up again. Not all at once. Not dramatically. Just slowly. My sister, Rachel, was always the opposite of me. Where I planned, she reacted. Where I saved, she spent. Where I built, she borrowed. And somehow, that always became my responsibility. She just needs time, my parents would say. She's going through a lot. That line again. Always that line. At first, it was small things. A weekend stay. Then a week. Then just until she figures things out. I didn't fight it, not at the beginning, because I thought, it's temporary. It always starts that way, but temporary has a way of becoming permanent. Rachel started leaving things behind: clothes, toys, furniture. Her kids began treating my house like theirs, running through rooms, choosing spaces. And the worst part? No one asked. Not really. It was always framed as casual, assumed, expected. Hope it's okay if we stay a bit longer. But by the time that question was asked, they were already unpacked, already settled, already comfortable. And I stayed quiet because I didn't want conflict. Didn't want to be the selfish one. Didn't want the drama. So I adjusted, moved things around, shared spaces, compromised in my own house. But something changed the day I heard Rachel say it. Clear, casual, like it was nothing. "Okay, this room can be for the kids," she said, pointing down the hallway. "And I'll take the bigger one." I froze. Not visibly, not dramatically, just internally. Because that moment, it wasn't about rooms anymore. It was about ownership, control, assumption, and how far things had gone. I turned slowly, looked at her, at the way she stood there, confident, certain, comfortable, like this was already hers. "Sure," I said. She smiled, satisfied, like everything was going exactly as expected. And that's when I knew she had no idea, none at all. Because while she was planning rooms, I had already made a decision. A quiet one, a final one. And this time, I wasn't going to argue. I wasn't going to explain. I wasn't going to fight for control. I was going to let things play out, exactly as they were. Because sometimes, the best response isn't resistance. It's timing. And Rachel, she was about to learn something she never expected. After I said sure, everything changed. Not for them, for me. Because for the first time, I stopped reacting, stopped correcting, stopped reminding myself it's just temporary. Instead, I watched, quietly, carefully. Because once you stop interrupting a pattern, you finally get to see how far it goes. And Rachel? She didn't hold back, not even a little. Within 2 days, my house didn't feel like mine anymore. The kids had already claimed their rooms. Posters on the walls, toys scattered everywhere, furniture rearranged, things moved without asking, spaces taken without discussion. And Rachel? She acted like she was settling in, not visiting, not staying temporarily, settling. "Can we move this dresser?" she asked one morning. But her tone, it wasn't really a question. It was a formality. "It fits better in the hallway," she added. I nodded. "Sure." Again, that same word, that same calm response. And every time I said it, she became more comfortable, more confident, more certain that everything was hers. By the end of the week, she had changed almost everything. The living room layout, the kitchen cabinets, even the storage spaces. "My system works better," she said once, reorganizing my kitchen. I watched her, quiet, observing, because this wasn't about the kitchen. It was about control, and she had taken it, without resistance, from me. At least, that's what she thought. That weekend, my parents came over. Of course they did. Because now, everything looked normal, comfortable, functional. "Wow, this looks great," my mom said, smiling. "Feels like a real family home now." That line, it stayed with me. Because what was it before? Empty? Incomplete? Not enough? I didn't respond, just smiled slightly. Let them have their moment. Because again, timing. "See? This works so much better," Rachel added. "The kids finally have space." My dad nodded. "This is good, Lily. You've got room. No point keeping it all to yourself." There it was, out loud, clear, unfiltered. "Not yours, ours." I took a slow breath. Because for years, I would have argued, explained, defended. But not this time. This time, I just said, "Yeah, it works." They smiled, satisfied, because to them, this was resolved, balanced, fair. But what they didn't know was that nothing about this was permanent. Not for me, not anymore. Later that night, I sat alone in my room, the only space that still felt untouched. Still mine, for now. And I looked around. At the walls, at the furniture, at everything I had built. 15 years of effort, of discipline, of choosing long-term stability over short-term comfort. And I asked myself something simple. Do I want to keep fighting for this? Not the house. The dynamic? The expectation. The constant pressure to share something that was never meant to be shared. And, for the first time, the answer came easily. No, I didn't. Because the truth is, I had already fought for 15 years to build something of my own. And now, I was being asked to slowly give it away, without acknowledgement, without limits, without choice. And that's when it became clear. This wasn't about space. It was about boundaries. And boundaries don't work when they're constantly ignored. So I made a decision, a quiet one, a strategic one. I didn't say anything, didn't warn anyone, didn't hint at it. I just acted. The next morning, I made a call. Simple, direct, to a real estate agent. "Hi," I said. "I'm interested in listing my house." There was a pause. Then, "Of course," she replied. "We can start the process right away." I looked around the room one last time, at everything that had once felt like a final destination. And for the first time, it didn't feel like something I needed to hold on to anymore. "Let's do it," I said. Because sometimes you don't fight for control. You change the situation completely. And Rachel, she was still picking rooms, still making plans, still building something on a foundation that was about to disappear. Once I made the decision, everything became clear. Not easier, not lighter, just certain. I didn't tell anyone. Not my parents, not Rachel. Because I already knew what would happen if I did. Arguments, pressure, guilt, endless conversations trying to change my mind. And this time, I wasn't interested in explaining myself. I had done enough of that over the years. So instead, I moved quietly, strategically. The real estate agent came 2 days later. Professional, focused, efficient. She walked through the house with me, taking notes. "The location is great," she said. "Condition is excellent." Of course it was. I had spent 15 years making sure of that. "What about the current situation?" she asked carefully, glancing toward the living room where Rachel's kids were playing. I didn't hesitate. "They're not staying," I said. Simple, clear, because legally, they weren't. And that's all that mattered. She nodded. No questions. No judgment. Just business. "We can list it within the week," she said. "Good," I replied. And just like that, it started. Photos were scheduled, paperwork prepared, everything moving forward. Meanwhile, inside the house, life continued like nothing was changing. Rachel kept planning. "Maybe we can repaint this wall," she said one afternoon. "Make it more kid-friendly." I looked at her, smiled slightly. Sure, that word again. And every time I said it, she heard agreement. But what I meant was something else entirely. "Go ahead, get comfortable, because it won't last." My parents came over again that weekend, even more relaxed this time. Like everything had settled into place. "This is working out really well," my mom said, looking around. Rachel nodded. "Yeah, it feels right." I stayed quiet, observing, because what they were feeling was stability. What I was seeing was illusion, and illusions don't last. "Have you thought about maybe letting Rachel stay longer?" my dad asked casually. I met his eyes, calm, steady. "I've thought about everything," I said. He nodded, satisfied, because he thought that meant agreement. It didn't. The listing went live 3 days later. No announcement. No discussion. Just live. Photos online. Details public. My house. On the market. And the response? Immediate. Calls. Viewings. Interest. Because good properties don't sit long. Not like this. The agent messaged me that night. "We already have multiple inquiries," she said. I wasn't surprised. Just ready. "Schedule the viewings," I replied. And that's when things started to shift. The first viewing was the next day. I told Rachel that morning. "There's going to be a showing today," I said. She frowned. "A showing?" "Yes." "For what?" I looked at her. Calm. The house. Silence. Immediate. Confused. "What do you mean?" she asked. "I listed it," I said. Just like that. No build-up. No explanation. Just the truth. Her expression changed instantly. From confusion to disbelief to something sharper. "You're selling the house?" she asked. "Yes." "When?" 3 days ago. Silence. Heavy. Because now, reality was catching up. "You didn't tell me," she said. I nodded slightly. "I know." Her voice rose. "Why wouldn't you tell me?" I didn't react, didn't match her tone, because it wouldn't have changed my decision, I said. Clear. Simple. Final. She stared at me, like she was trying to process everything at once. "The kids are here," she said. "We're living here." I held her gaze. "You're staying here," I corrected. And that difference, it mattered. A lot. "This is insane," she said. I stayed calm, because I expected this, prepared for it. "You can't just do this," she added. I tilted my head slightly. "I already did," I replied. Silence. Because that's the thing about decisions. Once they're made, they don't need permission. "What are we supposed to do?" she asked. There it was. The question, the one that always came back to me. Always. But this time, I didn't take it. "That's something you'll have to figure out," I said. Her eyes widened. Because that answer? It was new, unfamiliar, uncomfortable. "You're serious?" she asked. Yes. No hesitation. No doubt. Because I wasn't reacting anymore. I was following through. And, for the first time, she realized something. This wasn't temporary. This wasn't negotiable. This wasn't something I was going to fix. This was real, and it was happening. The doorbell rang, right on time. The first potential buyer, and just like that, the illusion ended. The doorbell rang again, louder this time, more real, because now it wasn't just an idea anymore. It was happening. Rachel stood frozen in the hallway, her kids behind her, my parents just arriving at the door. And me? I walked forward, calm, steady, like this had already been decided, because it had. I opened the door. A couple stood outside, well-dressed, polite, interested. "Hi," the woman smiled. "We're here for the viewing." "Of course," I said. "Come in." I stepped aside, let them enter, and just like that, strangers were walking through what my family had already started calling their home. I could feel the tension behind me, Rachel's silence, my mom's confusion, my dad's growing frustration. But I didn't turn around. "Not yet. Feel free to take a look," I said to the couple. "I'll be here if you have any questions." They nodded, started walking through the house, looking at walls, checking rooms, discussing space, possibilities, future. And that word, future, it didn't include any of us. Not me, not Rachel, not anyone standing there. Because once a house is on the market, it belongs to possibility, not people. "What is going on?" my mom whispered sharply behind me. I turned slowly, met her eyes. "I told you," I said. "I'm selling the house. This isn't funny, Lily," she said. "I'm not joking." Her expression shifted. "From disbelief to realization. You're serious," she said quietly. "Yes." Rachel stepped forward. "This is my house too right now," she said. "You can't just bring strangers in here." I looked at her, calm, unmoved. "It's not your house," I replied. That line, it landed hard, because for the first time, there was no soft version of it, no adjustment, no compromise, just truth. "We're living here," she insisted. "You're staying here," I said again, temporarily. The difference echoed, loud, clear, undeniable. My dad stepped in. "This is disrespectful," he said. I nodded slightly. "I agree." That caught him off guard. "Then stop this," he said. I held his gaze. "This is exactly why I'm doing it," I replied. Silence. Because that answer, it wasn't emotional. It wasn't reactive. It was final. "You didn't even give us time," my mom said. I tilted my head slightly. "Time for what?" I asked. No answer. Because there wasn't a clear one. Time to convince me? Time to adjust the situation? Time to continue something that was never meant to be permanent? "This isn't how family treats each other," she added. I took a slow breath. Because that line, it always sounds right until you look at the full picture. "No," I said quietly. "It's not." Silence. Because they expected me to defend myself, explain, justify, but I didn't. I just let it sit. Because if we were talking about how family treats each other, we had to include everything, not just this moment, the years before it, the assumptions, the expectations, the lack of boundaries. "Then why are you doing this?" Rachel asked. Her voice wasn't angry anymore. It was something else. Confused, uncertain. Because now, she was seeing something she hadn't before. "This house was my goal," I said. Calm, clear. I worked 15 years for it. They stayed quiet, listening. "For it to finally be mine," I continued. And then slowly, it stopped feeling like that. No one interrupted. Because there was nothing to interrupt. "You didn't ask," I added. "You assumed." My mom looked down slightly. My dad crossed his arms. Rachel didn't move. "You made plans," I said, "in a space that wasn't yours." Silence. Because that truth, it doesn't need explanation. It just needs acknowledgement. And I let it happen, I admitted. That part mattered too, because this wasn't just about them. It was about me, my choices, my silence, my willingness to avoid conflict. But I'm not doing that anymore, I finished. The words stayed in the air, heavy, but honest. So, you're just selling it? Rachel asked. Yes. And what about us? She said. I paused. Because that question, it used to control everything. Not anymore. You'll figure it out, I said. Calm. Steady. Just like before. Because I believed that now. Not as an excuse. Not as a way to avoid helping. But as a truth. People figure things out when they have to. The couple returned from the hallway. We really like it, the man said. It's exactly what we're looking for. I smiled. Glad to hear that. Rachel looked at them, then at me, then back at the house. Like she was finally seeing it. For what it really was. Not hers. Never was. Are you going to accept offers soon? The woman asked. Yes, I said. Very soon. And that was it. The final shift. Because now, it wasn't a possibility anymore. It was a timeline, a countdown, and everyone felt it. Clearly, deeply, unavoidably. Because this wasn't about rooms anymore, or space, or temporary stays. It was about something bigger, ownership, boundaries, and what happens when someone finally... Hello, friends. How did you feel about today's story? If this story touched your heart, let me know in the comments below. And if you want the next part, just comment Part 2. I read every single one. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And press the bell icon so you never miss a powerful story like this. See you in the next story.